Given the choice, whether to rule a corrupt and failing empire,
I turned the
or to challenge the fates for another
audio
throne,
of the
a
video
better
game
throne
down to
against
50.
one's destiny. What was a king to do?
And the first thing that kind of annoyed me was the intro to this video game was the intros of the first and second Soul Reaver cinematics combined. It's just a montage. And it's like, isn't that just fine? Don't you just want to see those intros over and over again? And all the previous recordings,
a choice.
I have barely been able to hear or understand anything I was saying.
Of fate, and thus defy the tyrannous
And ruined
stars.
the best opening monologue and quote. And people have a problem with the font at the beginning of the game. Like you couldn't wear a t-shirt with the title. But yeah, I think the microphone used to pick up my voice louder. Oh no. But I think I might have solved it by turning the video game volume down. I should have been saying
So I
that
returned
opening
to the sanctuary of my
monologue
enemy,
in unison.
the fortress of the Sarafan Brotherhood, deemed impossible for any man to penetrate.
Move by move, the machinations of fate, and thus
Impossible
defy
for
the
any man.
tyrannous stars. Yeah, those first couple seconds were the
Deep
peak
within
of the
these
game.
walls, my prey awaited. Mobius, the time streamer, deceiver and eternal gamester, using living beings as his
And
pawns.
looks like this is the first game with subtitles.
But we had swept that area already.
Not well enough, but no matter. We purged every last one of that brute with fire, and their souls now rest.
I guess it's easier to talk now, too, that I've lowered the video game volume.
It was time for Mobius to answer a few questions.
Maybe it's
I hoped for his
psychological,
sake
subconsciously.
to find him in forthcoming. What was that?
And watch this part. And yeah, that looks totally awesome, but at the same time, that's when people stop playing right there. Yeah, like 80% of people seem to just be completely grossed out at the violence.
Locked.
And we laugh right there. Just see the way he tried to kick the door
Don't
open.
let him escape!
Surround him!
Oh, listen to this part.
Surrender, fiend, and we will promise you an easy death.
I could promise you the same, but it would be a lie.
Yes, I understand. It will be done. The stage is set. You needn't linger in the shadows, Kain. It has been a long time, hasn't it?
No banter, Mobius. You know why I'm here.
Yes, Raziel. You sought to introduce your own pawn into this game, and now he's been swept from the board.
By your hand, I suspect. Where is he?
Perhaps you should ask, when? How humiliating it must be for you to come begging at my doorstep for answers.
Enough wordplay.
Don't threaten me, Kain. You see, I have the upper hand. How remarkable that the great Kain should succumb to the scepter's power like any common vampire. still so arrogant after all these years, thinking you've devised some brilliant plan. You know nothing. You have read the signs, but missed their meaning. You believe you are that myth of vampire prophecy.
That
the
part was
science
in the trailer,
balance,
you know.
and that
You
Raziel
know
holds the
nothing.
key to fulfilling your destiny. But your messianic delusions have blinded you to Raziel's true nature. You have no idea what you've unleashed. There was a time when you might have heeded wise counsel when it was offered. Now, your vanity has made you witless. You will have to learn the truth for yourself.
Yeah, I definitely quoted
You'll
this
be
game
needing
way
this.
too much.
Your strength will return after I have departed.
And every time I
by
quoted
then,
it, it was always
You
in
will have more
poor taste
urgent
that didn't
concerns than
land.
pursuing me. Perhaps, when we next meet, you will have learned a little humility.
These strange creatures seem to manifest from the very shadows. Mobius's attempt at stopping me was not one of his better efforts. When I found him, it would be my turn to offer a few surprises.
Yeah, and I wanted to get this game down to an hour, and in the other games, I sort of cut a lot of the conversations in half.
Surrender, Raziel. Abandon this petty rebellion. It was I who made you. Your life had played out,
I figured,
and in my grace, I spared you.
I didn't want to spend
You are my reaper of
26
souls.
more minutes going
You
through
have no other
all the
purpose,
gameplay
no higher
and listening
destiny.
to all the
Just
dialogue
this.
and choosing
Accept
what I
your
wanted to
calling,
keep and get rid
Raziel.
of.
Let go of these vain
Because I can
hopes.
just sit
Relinquish
here
your
and listen
will
to it for 26
and
more minutes.
feed.
And, you know, what difference does it really make?
No,
What do you profit from this defiance?
There's some grim satisfaction in infuriating you.
My patience is eternal, Raziel. How many eons can you bear to languish here? The wheel of fate must turn. All are redeemed in the cleansing agony of birth, death, and rebirth. This is the engine of life, the purifying rhythm of the universe to which all souls are irresistibly drawn. Yours is a necessary and
Birth,
noble
death,
function,
and rebirth.
Raziel.
That's
Enough of your
reincarnation.
sermonizing.
That's
Are you
Buddhism
trying to
and
bore me to
Hinduism.
submission? Why must this game go on? We both know what you are. You're no better than the vampires you so despise. A voracious parasite, cloaking its appetite in a shroud of righteousness. I refuse to do your will.
I can see into your heart, Raziel. It is not your will, but cowardice that keeps you here.
How so?
You know what fate awaits you when you leave the underworld. That phantom weapon you bear is a constant reminder, isn't it? The sword is waiting for you out there somewhere, and you tarry so as not to meet it.
I could not deny it. As long as I lingered here, defying my captor, I was able to postpone what I feared was my inevitable doom. To become the ravenous spirit imprisoned in the Reaver Blade. But that sentence was no worse than the stalemate I now endured. Better to face one's destiny than cower from it.
Harvester of souls, I created you. And to this function, my angel of death, you will return.
Enough. Yes, I submit.
Very good. Indulge your hunger.
It looks like the souls he eats are spirits now, or ghosts, as opposed to orbs or flying skulls.
Yes, Embrace your calling, Raziel. You will find that just as defiance has its price, so obedience has its rewards.
And submission is not always what it seems.
Yeah, and I said it before in the Soul Reaver 2, but I don't think my microphone was working well enough to
Clearly
hear
my
anything I
escape
was
had not
saying.
been anticipated, or my benevolent
That
master
creature,
would not have expended such efforts
You know,
to
your
prevent
first
me from
guess is that it's
going. And if my departure
Leviathan.
displeased him, then that was a victory, however small.
Even though
for
it's
me.
supposed to be God in this game.
At last, I discovered a conduit into the material
And
realm.
then
I would finally
other
escape the
things you might
spirit
hear
world
about
and take
are
one
like
step
the
farther
Cthulhu
from my tormentor.
mythos, and that it's like Azathoth.
Did you think to receive the
Look
same
up
favors
Azathoth.
after your rebellion as before?
Or
No,
in Conan the
Raziel.
Barbarian
I have
Yig?
no need for you to enter the physical world, so no conduit will be granted. You serve me adequately as a wraith.
Yeah, the
a
giant
wraith
squids
you will
from
remain.
Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos were
So,
featured
my restraints had not been
in,
removed, only
Hellboy.
loosened. I would not be
First
held prisoner in
Hellboy,
the
that's
spectral
what
realm.
Hellboy's
There had
arm
to be another way.
unlocks. Yeah, and then, giant squids were also kind
Tell
of
me,
in
where can I find
Mass
your
Effect
master?
and the graphic novel
Quickly.
TV version of
Mobius
Watchmen,
is...
but they were engineered and fake in Watchmen.
good.
And then there were giant squids in Mass Effect and in the Gravemind in Halo. Almost looked like a giant squid. I'm sure some of the Zerg in StarCraft kind of seem like, squids are just masses
Here you
of
are
organic
at
matter.
last. I see you found a fragment of the balance emblem. This will be of even further use to you, if you can find the other three. Now, shall we?
Yes. Let us continue our conversation, but on a somewhat different footing. Now, what do you have to tell me, Mobius?
You cannot kill me. We both know that this is not how or when I die.
Death is not the only possible outcome.
Your delusions of fulfilling the vampire's foolish prophecies have badly distorted your judgment. And Raziel is not what you think.
You dare imagine what I think.
I thought this was so cool.
So,
He's just sort of
you
doing a
prevented
Darth Vader.
Raziel's soul from entering the Reaver. Do you believe for a moment that by this you have averted your fate? Or his? Or that of Nosgoth itself? Your manipulations are pathetic.
Yet Raziel retains his free will, and that's what frightens you, isn't it, Mobius?
like them
You cannot
talking
see
about
his
free
path,
will.
and so you cannot control it.
And neither can you. Yes, Raziel is
Let's just
shrouded from
continue
us,
this
but we see the
conversation, but on
ripples
a
of his
somewhat
potential
different footing.
actions, and every path he might choose leads to the same outcome. He will kill you, Kain. In sparing Raziel, you have written your own death sentence.
You still have
None
not
of
answered the
these
question I came
lines
to
land
ask.
on anyone
Where
but me.
is Raziel?
He is not, in a true sense, here. Not now.
Don't try my patience, Mobius. What have you done with him?
He is contained.
Not
In
what
time,
have I
it may
done
be
with
safe
him,
to release him.
but when
His destiny
have
must
I
be
done
completed.
with him?
He will enter the sword. But until that time, he is dangerous. Far more dangerous than you could understand.
And your incontrovertible evidence?
The answers are plain, if you know where to look. Go west of the pillars. There you will find a testament written in stone.
But stones too can lie. The pillars of Nosgoth stood pristine against the horizon. To the west, I would find the enlightenment Mobius felt I lacked.
Enlightenment?
In this crypt, I discovered ethereal gases rising from the moldering corpse within. As I neared,
this is
I
real
felt a
new
distinct
age.
spiritual pull, and the closer I approached, the more that pull intensified. In the end, it was not difficult. I projected myself down into that tomb and found myself reborn into the material world. It was a loathsome vessel, but with an effort of will, that too could change.
She says she won't go near the place.
I tell you, the pillars are haunted.
Haunted?
I heard a woman's voice talking and moaning, and there was no one there.
How many vampires have you killed? And you can't face down one ghost?
I knew who these were. Vampire hunters scouring the countryside, destroying what had once been
another
my kind.
giant squid creature is Therion.
My God, what is that? A vampire
And
or a demon?
Therion
Where?
was made
Here.
up by
Get
Aleister
him!
Crowley.
Quickly!
And I
No
think
mercy.
These were Mobius's
said
hunters,
that it survived
mercenaries
at the
enlisted in
end
his
of the
crusade to
last
exterminate the
universe or
vampires.
something.
His insignia was unmistakable. But this
It
meant
was
I'd been
something like
captive
that.
in the underworld for centuries.
Yeah, it was a primordial beast.
I had lost 500
Therion.
years. Then I knew
Yeah,
what
and you
ghost
can
it
look
was
that
that
up.
haunted the pillars. Ariel, the specter of the murdered Balance Guardian. Perhaps she could provide the answers I sought. But first I would have to find a way out of this cemetery.
And I think Ariel is in Paradise Lost.
Fallen hero, renegade and traitor. What is this? How do you know me? Razia, what are you?
But I don't think she's one of the 7 archangels.
It seemed my method of entering the physical realm was not altogether
Zadkiel,
original. But where had these beings come from?
Raphael, Jophiel,
Ancient ruin of a vampire civilization.
Michael.
Perhaps here I would finally decipher the riddle of my destiny. Throughout these ruins, I found murals depicting the seminal events of vampire history. These scenes commemorated a
ancient
great war
days.
between the ancient vampires and their rivals. In triumph, they banished their adversaries from the world and raised the pillars as the lock that binds them. The image of the Reaver was inscribed throughout this place, always depicted with reverence. The vampire's holy weapon was destined to be borne by their prophesied hero, for whom it was forged.
And the first
But if this
half
was
of
my
this
destiny,
game is just looking
Why
at
had the Reaver
murals.
tried to consume me?
Thought it was really symbolic
This scene
and
depicted the
hard-hitting.
appointment of the original vampire guardians, each summoned to serve when the pillars were raised. Each guardian is aligned to the principle of the pillar he serves, and the balance guardian is the axis of them all. In their defeat, the vampire's enemy retaliated with a terrible curse, afflicting the vampires with a bloodthirst that
Yeah, if you
turned
think
their
about
once
all the
noble race
murals
into
or
ravenous predators.
illustrations
This curse plunged the vampires into
that
despair
condition
and apparently
you,
drove many to
and,
madness and
that's all we
self-annihilation.
have for
What was it
history
that so
before
devastated them that they were
pictures,
driven to suicide?
cameras.
How strange.
Murals
To see
and
this place long
motifs,
before my
mosaics,
Centuries before the corruption set in
regalia.
that would poison the land and put me on the treacherous path I still followed. In the future, these edifices would be condemned to darkness and decay. I would cause their fall and build my empire upon their ruins.
And pillars.
Was it still
you can search
possible
pillars.
that with the right knowledge, the right moves, I might one day see Nosgoth restored,
Like
the
Greek
pillars
architecture
pure
uses
once
a lot of
more?
pillars.
My answer, according to Mobius, lay somewhere to the
Definitely
west
more like
of this
the
place.
Tower of Babel.
I could restore the world, perhaps.
And they're
But
also
never
the
again
7 seals
could I give
of the
Nosgoth back
apocalypse.
her innocence.
I sought to unravel the mystery of my fate, and in this image lay my first clue. For this scene depicted the forging of the Reaver, the weapon destined to become my prison, and I recognized its maker. The years had changed him, but this was unmistakably the vampire Vorador, and in this era, he still lived. If I could reach him before Mobius's mob hunted him down, he would provide the answers I sought.
Yeah, and it's just like
These
Thor's
images
hammer
chronicled
or
Vorador's
Excalibur.
creation. As I already knew, he had not been born a vampire, but had been turned by the infamous Janos Ordrin. But this mural suggested that Vorador's origins were even more significant. Apparently, he was the first human to whom the dark gift had been passed. This was the vampires' desperate bid to preserve their bloodline, for their enemies had cursed them not only with bloodthirst, but with sterility as well. Approaching the tomb, I was met by the specter of the Guardian himself.
Eternity weighs heavily.
I have a solution.
I bear it in atonement. But your moment of existence has passed. Come and be released.
Its death centuries ago.
Yeah, and they have little audio loops of moaning and crying in the spirit world to just fill it with a sense of dread. So
Once
just
again,
sort of
I
wanna
beheld the
leave
pillars of
spirit
Nosgoth
world and come
crumbling
back
in
to the
decay
material
now,
realm
following the
just to
corruption of the
escape
circle.
the
Here I would find
feeling of
Ariel,
dread.
the specter of the murdered Balance Guardian, and the last pure, undefiled member of the Guardian Circle. Bound here upon her death, she was doomed to haunt these pillars until her successor fulfilled his terrible duty, and balance was restored.
What manner of creature approaches?
I know you well, Ariel, though you do not yet know me.
I have no time for riddles, strange one.
All you have is time. I have come to seek your guidance.
I counsel
I
only
think
one
Ariel
man,
looked better in
and
Soul
you are
River
not
2.
he. But you will know him soon. The contagion of your kind is coming to an end.
My kind? What exactly do you think I am?
Your name shall remain unspoken, as decreed by our ancestors. You serve the one who so brutally took my life and set this tragedy in motion. But even now, hope is at work. Balance will be restored, and your kind will be expelled forever.
You have pinned your hopes on Kain. He will disappoint you.
What can you know of Kain?
More than you could ever fathom.
He will do what he must when the time comes.
By choosing his own death. A sacrifice for the world. You don't know Kain very well.
I know what he is called to do. My faith sustains me.
Is it faith or fear? You know that if Kain refuses the sacrifice, you will never leave here. And you begin to suspect.
I will not hear your poison, fiend.
Grant me the answers I require, and I will leave you to your pathetic delusions.
Ask, then.
I seek the vampire Vorador.
To kill him, perhaps. Or to join him in death. But for Kain, he is the last of his kind. Mobius's mob has done its work.
My reasons are my own.
His refuge lies in the heart of the Black Forest. And may you molder there together until the end comes.
Murals had suffered some damage. Once again, I recognized the vampire's hero. But this scene revealed something new. For here they had also depicted his destined adversary, now partially obscured, who seemed to bear a flaming sword.
In winning all, we lost. In winning what we thought mattered, we lost what truly mattered. But for you, there is a chance.
What chance is that?
The bliss of death.
offer it. But I do not accept.
You too share the curse. Submit and be released.
Never.
And so I arrived at the citadel of my vampire ancestors, long abandoned since their extinction eons ago. Perhaps it still held the wisdom of its creators.
And this is the only game
Here,
where you play as
Mobius
both
said I would
characters.
find proof that Raziel was not what I thought he was, or hoped he would be. But in sending me here, Mobius had done me an unexpected, or perhaps an unwitting service. For it was my destiny, not Raziel's. My role as Scion of Balance, whose secrets I was here to discover. Here, no doubt, was the evidence Mobius wished me to have. For the vampires had prophesied not one, but two champions. One destined to be Nosgoth's redeemer, the other its destroyer.
Now there's just
The
paintings
vampire's
everywhere.
hero wielded the Reaver,
And they see the
forged for this
paintings
very
and they think
purpose. His opponent
it
was
means
clearly the
something.
champion of their adversaries, the Hilden, and brandished a flaming sword. The foretold outcome was unambiguous. The vampire hero would fall.
Nestled deep in the Black Forest, Vorador had once held court
Here's
over a private
Vorador's
kingdom,
mansion
as
again.
decadent as it was depraved. Now, all was still. I hoped I had not arrived too late, disturbed by the spouting of these gargoyles.
Oh yeah, this mission sucked too. It's a bunch of puzzles I didn't actually enjoy doing.
These gargoyles were effigies of the vampire's enemies. In the corresponding murals, they were impaled by heroic vampire warriors. Perhaps this was a clue. This mural was similar to one I had seen before in the fountain room. This mysterious chamber was clearly significant. Perhaps I would finally find the elusive Vorador within. Braziers were all lit, but still the door remained sealed. Perhaps I had ignited too many. These murals were attuned somehow to those in the fountain room, for this wall too had shattered.
Now we're going through a portal or wormhole. Using another Stargate.
Here the images were unadulterated, and their meaning ominously clear. The vampire hero, the bearer of the Reaver Blade, was confronted by an adversary worthy of his powers. The enemy race, long banished, had a champion of their own, with flaming eyes and a fiery sword.
Yeah,
The resemblance I bore to the
Contact.
adversary mocked all my hopes. Had Kain been the vampire hero of prophecy all along? Did he suspect what I was? For if I was this foretold adversary, then Mobius was right, and had always been right. I was destined to fight Kain and destroy him, or be destroyed. What part did free will play in any of this?
Your deliverance is at hand. In death is your release. This state is merely atonement.
So, our wretched little savior returns.
And
Come to join the
Vorador.
last pathetic battle of the vampire race? But on which side, I wonder?
I've not come to fight you, Vorador.
You don't know why you're here.
I know this much, that you are the author of my fate, and as such, only you can rewrite it.
You give me too much credit.
You forged the Reaver. I have seen the evidence.
I was its maker, yes?
Then you know its purpose.
No. Only the scraps of prophecy my master shared with me.
And do these scraps explain why you would forge a weapon to imprison your savior?
Ah, well then. It seems we have our answer. You've chosen your path.
I have chosen nothing. I've been deceived at every turn. You seem to know what I am. Tell me.
I thought I did once. But now all the prophecies have failed. The pillars are corrupted. I am the last of my kind. And when Mobius's hunters find me, it will have all been for nothing.
You've forgotten about Kain.
Ah, yes, Kain. I fear he shoulders a greater burden than he realizes. I cannot help you, even if I was inclined to. I crafted the Reaver blade, but only at the behest of my sire, Janos Audron. What sorcery he and the others laid upon the sword afterward, I cannot say.
Janos tried to give me the Reaver before he died. He said that it was forged for me. But what did he mean? As my weapon or my prison?
Perhaps you should ask him yourself.
Janos is here.
In a manner of speaking. The greatest of us all, the father of our race. The Seraphim tore the heart from his living body 5 centuries ago.
But there's no sign of decay. How is this possible after all
was the
these
ending
years?
of the last game.
Somewhere, the heart still beats. And while it does,
Or actually,
the body
Blood
will
Omen
remain
2
preserved.
may have
If
came
his
out
heart
before
could be
Soul
restored,
Reaver 2
Janos might
and
yet
Legacy
be
of Kain
raised.
Defiance.
And you haven't tried to recover it in all these years.
Many times. But our enemies hid the heart too well. It was taken as a trophy to Avernus Cathedral centuries ago, where they christened it the Heart of Darkness. Believing that it embodies the essence of our dark gift, they hid the heart away lest it fall into the wrong hands. Our hands. Redeem yourself. You may be our last hope. Perhaps you alone can find the heart if it is meant to be found. If Janos can be resurrected, he will have all the answers you require. This key will open your way to Avernus. But be advised, there are dark sorceries at work in the cathedral. You must be on your guard.
And the Heart of Darkness turns out to be the heart of Janos Audron.
Avernus is in flames, and with it, our hopes may evaporate.
How can I find the heart in the midst of such chaos?
You must act quickly. But beware, an ancient evil dwells within, long unspoken among our kind. Undoubtedly, this is the source of the corruption that infects the Circle. If you are to succeed, you must resist its influence.
Yeah, the Heart of Darkness was how many lives you had in the first Blood Omen. Every time you found a Heart of Darkness, that would mean that, you would respawn that many times.
This history, in part, I knew already. How, as the vampires began to die out, the pillars summoned human guardians to fulfill their roles. It seemed the ancient vampires had adopted, and when necessary, abducted the human guardians and made vampires of them when they came of age, until the humans rebelled against their masters. And here, I made a surprising discovery. It was Mobius, the time streamer, and Mortanius, guardian of death, who led the bloody revolt. Now, I understood why Mobius hated me so intensely. I was the first vampire guardian in all these centuries, and he knew what my coming signified. Or perhaps I reminded him of all he had forsaken. I was confronted again with depictions of the vampire's champion, the bearer of the Reaver Blade. And here too was his Hilden adversary.
It's like, did you really need to see this many paintings?
Two heroes locked in combat which only one would survive.
Yeah, well, it's trying to trigger something.
These murals prophesied two possible outcomes. I didn't know what Mobius was trying to concoct, but this all seemed too convenient.
Yeah, and here's the quote-unquote
For my ancient
oracle.
ancestors, the dark gift was clearly a curse, damning them to a kind of spiritual purgatory. But why were they compelled to seal this chamber so securely? Perhaps the lock was not meant to keep intruders out, but to imprison something within.
Kain, scion of balance, savior of Nosgoth.
What is this?
Your arrival is foretold. The fates have willed it.
Is that so?
Yeah,
I
don't
am
think
the
this
oracle
really
of your
makes
ancestors.
sense.
I can provide the answers you require. You needn't speak. I know your mind. You seek knowledge of your creature Raziel. This I can offer, if you will look. He has found the body of Janos Ordrum. He journeys now to Avernus Cathedral to seek the heart of darkness. You know what this means.
And why would I trust your prophecies?
These events are already written just as you feared. But there is still time. He can be stopped.
If Avernus is in flames, Raziel is 5 centuries beyond my reach.
I may aid you in this regard as well. This portal will transport you in time to the very hour that Raziel arrives in Avernus.
Yeah, that's cool, but at the same time,
since it was you who made him what he is. When you are ready, you may pass through.
Yeah, it's the same voice of the Elder God, Squid character. And why would he constantly tell Raziel to kill Kain, and then
this peculiar sensation was familiar to me, and the chamber did indeed appear altered by time. In this regard, at least, the Oracle seemed to have been truthful.
I have delivered you faithfully to the very hour you desire. You know what must be done, Kain. There is only one way to prevent Raziel from doing great harm.
He is not my enemy.
But you are his.
From this vantage point, I could see the city of Avernus in flames. The Oracle had indeed brought me to the time it promised. It might also be true, then, that Raziel was already there, seeking the heart of darkness. If so, he had to be stopped. I could not allow Janos to be raised.
Somewhere in this great cathedral, the heart of darkness lay concealed. The city outside was in chaos, and the cathedral would not be immune for long. During such times, buried secrets were often suddenly revealed, or lost forever. Seeing this symbol throughout these ruins, I should have realized what it was they worshipped. Now there was no question, for this scene depicted the ancient vampires' torment and despair as their curse cast them from the wheel of fate. So this was the god whose abandonment had driven them to madness and suicide. Finally, I understood. It was not the bloodthirst, but their immortality that was the true nature of their enemy's curse. The wisest, strongest, most noble race, gulled by the voice of that old parasite. But I had seen him, and whatever he was no god. As the handsome coffin hides the putrefying corpse within, the great cathedral of Avernus seemed to hold its own secrets, hidden in the catacombs beneath its vaulted chambers. Was this the source of the corruption that infected Nosgoth? Vorador had hinted at something more. History is written by the victors. Beneath the vaults of Avernus, I discovered scenes that told a familiar story, but from a very different point of view. This was the work of the enemy race,
Chaos,
and revealed what the vampire histories had conveniently omitted. How the noble vampires, god-ridden and righteous, had started the wars that would destroy both races, victor and vanquished alike. Their adversaries opposed the vampires' god and refused to submit to the wheel of fate. For this, they were banished. I now understood the poetic irony of their curse, and my resemblance to the vampire's enemy no longer seemed so accidental. The banished race foretold a hero who would deliver them from their oppressors and destroy the shackles of the vampire's tyrannous god, the same hero that bore the flaming sword.
He sure is reading a lot into and projecting on these paintings.
The same pawn.
So,
sure
Raziel,
that's what the painting was showing?
your true nature is finally revealed. You were never the vampire's savior. It is to the Hilden race you belong.
Reaching.
And when Kain realizes this...
Is there like a plaque you were reading?
Great Hashagik, we hear you. We tremble and we obey. We offer this sacrifice upon the altar of the world. The blood of our firstborn do we sacrifice to you.
In the depths of Avernus Cathedral, I stumbled upon a bloody ritual. Was this the source of the corruption that had overtaken the city?
May this blood nourish you for all eternity.
Purge your wrath from us, great God.
The wrath of Hashagik has once more been averted. Depart now, as ever, in his service.
We tremble and we obey. Praise to Hashagik and ever praise. Hashagik, Hashagik.
Does this remind you of anything?
What was it that these deluded humans worshipped with such fervor? Was this the dreaded unspoken that Vorador had warned me about? The so-called god inhabited this hideous pit. I was about to meet it.
Yeah, and he kind of looks like the same monster as in Blood Omen 2.
I smell no blood.
I think they're supposed to be different.
Throat cut first, blood gouging, then it falls into the pit. The sacrifice is rejected. You will know my wrath. Not possible. No, it could not be.
Stand away, monster.
No. That voice. Not possible. I know that voice. But he fell. The abyss. He ended there.
I did not fall into the abyss.
Oh, it remembers that, does it?
I was thrown in by my own brethren.
I heard what you did to them. And now, you have found me at last.
Terrell!
Terrell!
Yeah, that's right, it's Terrell.
That was my name then.
The others were grotesque, but...
Yes!
So, Raziel finally completes his revenge from the first Soul Reaver.
You ever were, Raziel. You were never a god. Greater even than Kain!
It is to you that these humans offer their blood sacrifices.
Is actually an angel. It's the same as Tyriel.
Yes.
But how did this happen?
I was summoned.
Yeah,
there was darkness and great hunger.
Diablo also.
And I was found.
And I mean, you know, it's just the name.
Why do you stay in this terrible place?
Why?
Just like the Ninja Turtles.
Would I remain if I could get out? While they hound me and tear at me and...
And some of... Oh, here we go. Legion. Someone get a pig.
Use his voice to command the disciples above. We demand offerings to keep the host alive.
Legion.
He has been a durable vessel, but he can take us no further. You must prevail. The champion of our enemy draws near. No! I must have blood! Bring me blood!
It's probably the Hilden.
Your god. Yours. Yes, it will strengthen me against them.
What are you doing?
No more questions. No more worship. Time to run. Time to scream. Time to die.
Yeah, and the way that line was, that's just like Blade Runner. Wake up, time to die.
Yes, now. Go, speed your endeavor. Face him and kill him. Destroy the binding at last. We shall all be free.
Yeah, and Raziel gets a stronger telekinesis, where now he's like got Yoda telekinesis.
Come to me, my undead son. Make haste to the pillars. The stage is set for the grand finale. You will have your vengeance.
Mortanius.
So, you have come out into the open at last. The binding must be fragile indeed. But you will find you are too late.
What am I too late for this time?
No, not now.
Mortanius looked better in the first game.
You are too late for the victory you sought.
And so now, those glowing green eyes, that's probably supposed to be the same thing as the demon he turned into at the end of the first game.
Ancient prophecies. This vessel speaks truly. You are indeed overdue, but it no longer matters in the least. With or without you, we will prevail.
So, I finally meet the unspoken, and here it is, nestled in the heart of the circle itself. Ironic.
Poetic justice. To topple the foundations of the pillars from within. We shall have our revenge in full measure and for all time. This one has little strength left. One must not break him. Your kind does not like to lose.
I seek the heart of darkness.
Ah, now you think of that. But as I told you, you are too late. The heart has served its function. I have used it to set prophecy in motion. I created the champion foretold by my masters, who is destined to be your destroyer. The Scion of Balance will save Nosgoth. The Pillars will return to vampire guardianship as intended, and your race will be cast down forever.
Kain. You use the heart of darkness to create Kain.
How else? I refused at first to believe the ancient myths. I thought the vampires were simply a plague upon mankind, a pestilence we had to control. But they were right, and we were wrong to overthrow them, Mobius and I. We didn't understand what it was the Pillars were holding back. I have made my atonement. I will continue to make it to the end, which will be soon now. But I know Kain will set it right. He will restore balance. And none too soon. My enemy is growing stronger.
Where is the heart of darkness now? Did you destroy it?
You still don't understand, do you? You cannot make use of it as long as Kain guards it with his life.
Kain has it. It is in Kain.
Check and mate. This deed will redeem first me and then all Nosgoth. It must. This one grows weak, but we will soon have a stronger vessel. The long-awaited hour approaches. Our release is at hand. I must finish it now.
Looks like he wasn't the only one in the circle going insane. Or wait. Oh yeah, here we go.
Kain, why is this no surprise?
Because our destinies run together, Raziel, like two rivers that have met and can never be distinct again. At your every fatal turn, you'll find me.
And the free will you said was mine. What has become of that?
You still have it. And that has everything to do with my presence here now.
It was your machinations that set my destiny in motion. The coin you tossed has struck the earth. Now you must abide by its outcome.
The coin is still turning, Raziel.
And there is
to reach
no
the resolution
coin.
we both can live with, that will
speaking
best serve our
metaphorically.
futures, Janos Ordran must not be raised.
Because you do not wish it.
And the
Is my
coin
free will to be
striking the
exercised
earth,
only when
that
it
almost
accords with
sounds
your
like
whim?
the fall of
There's
Lucifer.
much more at stake in this than you know.
Yes, and it is Janos who has the answers I desire.
You must trust me, Raziel. Our intentions, for Nosgoth, for our futures, are not so diverse.
I must trust you. Or...
I've not come here to threaten you, Raziel.
You say that while you hold in your hand the instrument of my doom?
I saved you from the Reaver once. I have no intention of imprisoning you within the blade.
At least not until the moment it serves your plans to do so.
You are not the only one at risk. I may carry the instrument of your destruction, but I too have taken a chance in coming here. Or haven't you realized? You bear the only weapon that can kill me.
Then you know what I am, and who you are.
I believe I do.
And still you think you can move me about like your pawn?
Yeah, and this is just
Think
like
again,
Hesiod's theogony.
Take heed, Raziel.
Why? If we are who we are, then are we not destined to fight to the death, to decide the fate of Nosgoth?
Don't be a fool! I will not fight you!
And that will be the prophesied hero's battle? I win because you will not fight me? The mighty Kain, scion of balance, would-be savior of Nosgoth, surrenders before the final battle even begins!
Very well. If this will make you see reason, now you will listen to me. The heart of darkness must remain undiscovered. Great harm will come of its use.
You don't know where it is, do you?
No.
You never looked for it.
It doesn't matter, Raziel. Listen to me. You must understand that every creature is bound to one predestined path. We are all shackled.
To the wheel of fate. Believe me, I know that even better than you do.
All but one. Because of your remaking, you are the one unbound creature. The one among us all that truly has free will. You have a choice, Raziel.
It's
which I'm
he's
sure I must make it your direction. Your pawn has reached the end of the board, Kain, and now my powers may even surpass yours. How ironic if the creature that you made should prove your own undoing. Now, we finish this, once and for all.
Raziel's getting absorbed into the sword.
You... No. Raziel. They Victus. I didn't.
Whoa. Wasn't expecting that.
Conquered. I have found the heart of darkness, and you go to oblivion.
Was that portal always there?
Kain was gone. The madness of this place had
finally did it.
My rage. And as it subsided, I felt no elation, no sense of victory. Only a calm certainty that we had once again walked blindly into our enemy's trap. I couldn't be sure whether Kain had truly intended to destroy me. And now it appeared I would never know. In my absence, the estate had been overrun by Mobius's soldiers. I hoped that they had not yet found the entrance to the crypt or discovered the body of Janos. Of Vorador, there was no sign.
Raziel, the conquering hero. I understand we ought to offer congratulations. Kain, at last, is dead.
I suppose you expect similar congratulations on the death of Vorador. Or has he eluded you?
We have him, but not without a considerable price in blood.
That will have pleased him.
Let it sustain him until his head is off, and every vampire in Nosgoth at last is dead.
And will that knowledge sustain you? You too are going to your death.
For a true servant of the one God, death is never bitter. I will go, again at peace with the knowledge that I have played my small part in our master's plans. Kain is at last destroyed, and you have carried out the deed. Which hero do you think you are now? The vampire savior, or the other one? Have you realized yet that it didn't matter to us which one either of you thought you were, so long as the result was the same in the end? And now, Kain is dead. Really, I cannot thank you enough.
So, this has all been arranged every step of the way. And Kain thought I truly had free will.
Oh, but you do. And there's the greatest triumph of all. To have compelled the one player who could choose into doing exactly what we required. Well done, faithful servant. And now, I have an execution to see to.
This relic had come at so high a cost. My blood offering.
Now we'll finally get some
From
answers.
this enigmatic corpse.
Just like in
It was
Soul
the price of my
Reaver 2,
freedom,
the
for which
first
Kain
time
had
you met
paid with his life.
Nanosauldrin. And if you found one of the time streaming chambers and could go back in time to Soul Reaver 2 again, you could just talk to him
Had
in
I
the
journeyed so
past.
far and forsaken so much, only to have it end like this?
I remember. Raziel, the heir of prophecy. You came for the Reaver just before the Seraphim found me.
You've been entombed here for 5 centuries. Your murderers are long dead.
500 years. And Vorador?
Also dead. Your bloodline is erased. The age of the vampires is coming to an end.
Then we must waste no time.
I'm not who you think I am, nor is this a benevolent act. I have questions that apparently you alone can answer.
Raziel, there are forces in this world that will strive to deceive you and pervert your destiny. But you must believe your arrival foretells the salvation of the vampire race.
Why then would the vampires devise a weapon to consume and imprison their savior?
No, that cannot be.
While the blade yet exists, I am drawn inexorably toward my doom. It was you who bound me to this fate. Only you can release me.
Raziel, you have been misled. You are ordained by prophecy to wield the Reaver.
And so I do, though not quite as you'd envisioned.
Redeemer and Destroyer. Is it possible? Did I misread all the signs? It seems your destiny is more labyrinthian than I had imagined. You must trust me, Raziel. We may have very little time. I will convey you to the place where your answers lie.
Where have you brought me?
We are within the ancient citadel of the vampire race, long ago defiled and abandoned.
And this kind of looks like
this
the
fortress
round
endured
table.
through centuries of war against our great enemy,
The Hilden.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just
From
what you
this
think
chamber,
when you see
we
a
witnessed
circle
the summoning of the
chairs.
pillars and the banishment of our adversaries from the land. This is a dire omen. The binding is in peril. The hour of prophecy is at hand.
It's too late. The pillars are already damned.
As long as a single one of us stands, there is still hope. The pillars must not remain under human guardianship. They are not competent to serve.
Why then did you allow the pillars to fall into human hands?
Raziel, there is no
I
time.
want answers. The world can end this instant for all I care.
Very well. The Hilden cursed us as they fell, afflicting our race with a predatory bloodthirst. But with this transformation came our enemy's true revenge. Immortality.
They liberated you from the wheel of fate.
They imprisoned our souls in this flesh, expelling us from the
I see
purifying
what they
cycle
mean.
of death and rebirth.
And yet you passed the curse on.
It was a necessary evil. Our immortality banished us from God's grace. He turned his sight from us and fell silent. Many took their own lives, unable to bear the separation from our God.
Not you, though.
Curse or blessing, it is the price we pay to keep the Hilden banished from the land.
To sustain the binding, we had to preserve our bloodline, and so we passed the dark gift to the human successors of our fallen guardians. They rebelled, inevitably, refusing the curse and seizing the pillars as their own. And so we come to our present dilemma. While mankind governs the pillars, the binding decays. The Hilden strain against the barriers of their prison, scratching to gain a foothold back into this world. And what does all this mean to me? We stand at the threshold of a new eon, Raziel, and you are the fulcrum upon which our destiny turns. Beneath this room lies our innermost sanctum. The outer chamber has been opened. It appears events are already in motion. This token is the key to the mysteries you seek. I cannot accompany you. You must face this trial alone.
Yeah, and
if you prevail,
Theogony,
you will have your ansers.
He said,
and if I fail the test,
if you dropped an anvil and it passed through every realm of Hades, you would fall for 7
Should
days.
have known I'd find you here.
Here and everywhere, now and always. I am the wheel and its turning. I am the circle of life and death.
And I am beginning to think
and
the vampires committed suicide only to escape your
also
voice.
Kind of
Do not forgo my favor with your impertinence, Raziel. You have finally fulfilled your purpose. I am pleased.
Yeah, people think there might just be eyes everywhere.
What is it about me that has you so afraid?
It's some kind of angel.
Your fate is trivial, Raziel. It was Kain's destiny that mattered all along.
It is accomplished. The Forge summons the spirit of every balanced guardian to itself.
Here's the scene that Raziel saw in the first Soul Reaver in the Oracle's cave.
Raziel, yet I am much more than I was. The veil is lifted from my sight. My spirit, united with the souls of my predecessors, is drawn here now for the final baptism of the blade. To restore balance, the sword must be rendered pure by spirit. Release me, Raziel. The Soul Reaver has the power. Release us all. For this we were called.
It almost even makes sense. But hey, couldn't you have done that at any time?
You have done well, Raziel. But there is one more trial for you to bear. You must unite what has been set asunder. Only then will the Scion of Balance be armed for his true endeavor. Only then.
The Reaver now blazed with purifying flame, but far from being enlightened, I found myself entangled in an even greater web of mysteries. What had Janos expected me to learn? And what of Ariel's cryptic message? If the sword was endowed for the Scion of Balance, for Kain, and he was now dead, what hope remained? I needed to find Janos, and soon. I dreaded to think what these ominous rumblings might portend. Janos, what is this? The binding is failing. All is lost. We had arrived at that cataclysmic moment when a younger Kain faced his fateful dilemma as Balance Guardian. Choosing self-preservation over sacrifice, he doomed the pillars to eternal
And here's
ruin.
another part of the game that's
Raziel,
really offensive.
there may yet be
But
hope.
it is a
There
scene
is
that
one
happened
who
in the
will be
first
called.
game
You must seek
in
the Scion of
1996.
Balance. Dear God!
See how offensive that was? Does that remind you of anything?
Ah, Raziel,
we meet again. You have played your part flawlessly. It is gratifying to attain both freedom and vengeance in a single stroke.
No! You cannot!
This one is strong. Good. My next move requires a more durable host. Mortals are such fragile vessels. Willing or not, you have provided the instrument of our victory.
I wouldn't celebrate just yet.
You pathetic creature. You haven't got a clue. The seduction of the Circle and possession of
maybe
Mortarius,
the fallen
Ariel's
angels
murder,
were possessed
the corruption
by
and
Erebus.
collapse of the pillars, all orchestrated as a prelude to this moment. We sought an incorruptible vessel, and you provided one. We required the blood of our ancient enemy, and you delivered Janos Audron, having first been lured to the heart of darkness. Best of all, you murdered the Scion of Balance to get it. We've already won.
Raziel, you must not allow them to carry out their plan. Kill me, and you end it now.
Suicidal like the rest of them. Know your place, Raziel.
And in the
true
game,
hero plays his
Raziel,
role
the sword,
and then
it's all
steps
these
aside.
different...
You deluded ghoul. Do you so wish to die
Elemental
a martyr for the vampire's
variations.
lost cause?
You're not leaving this chamber.
And
I will
think-
destroy Janos if I have
And
to.
you know, he can shift between
Very
this
well,
world
then.
and the spectral
I'll
realm.
indulge you.
And it's like, why can't he shift between every realm and dimension?
Raziel,
You know, like the
finish
air
it
dimension,
before he
fire
returns.
dimension, the shadow and light planes and realms. And you know, that's what like the Norse believe in Muspelheim, Jotunheim. And they also have that in Dungeons and Dragons, Manual of the Flames.
Now it is finished, and thus a new epic has its beginning.
Do you see? However far you stray, you will always return to me. Surrender, Raziel.
Never!
Your efforts are wasted, Raziel. That weapon you bear, however endowed, remains only a wraith blade. It cannot touch me.
I will not be your prisoner.
You have no choice. Your task is fulfilled. Kain has been cleared from the board, and this chamber made ready for my more malleable servants. There is nothing more for you to do.
I refuse to bend my will.
It has always been my will you satisfy, never your own.
You parasitic fraud. You are forced to imprison me because I possess free will.
You possess nothing. As you are undying,
and
your
God
soul cannot
gave
be
us
returned
free
to the
will.
wheel. But it may console you to abide here in eternity with me. Mobius,
And how
my
the
servant,
moments
I
of
call
those
you to the place
pillars,
of our
you know, was
first
part
meeting.
of destiny.
Return
Tales
to me
of Miletus
here.
once predicted an eclipse.
I awoke to find myself in a shadowy realm. A disquieting stillness lay where my heart had been, the heart that had belonged to Janos Audron all along. How was it possible that I still lived?
And it looks like Kain went to hell.
This realm will
It's just like, whoa, there's hell and the ghost dimension.
What is this place?
Because the elder god was saying that everyone was just reincarnating. That's what he wanted you to believe. Looks like when he was soul-reaving things, he was just sending them to judgment and not returning them to the cycle of life, death, and rebirth.
I felt strongly drawn, compelled even, not to linger here, but to go to the vampire citadel at once. I knew what ominous hour this was in Nosgoth's history, for here was the event that had shaped my entire existence. I had cast my fate, refusing the sacrifice, damning the pillars, and founding my doomed empire upon their ruins. I would raise the Salafan priests to be my closest lieutenants, and would one day cast the strongest of them, my servant Raziel, into the abyss, dealing one last hand to play against fate. But in the end, had it made any difference? Had I misread the signs, as Mobius told me? In my arrogance, had I missed my cast at destiny?
The Hilden are merely an inconvenient consequence. They will be dealt with in time. It is a small price to pay for Kain's death.
You're a bit premature.
Kain!
Is there a crack in your omniscience after all, Mobius? First, your omniscience, and now your powers. You're slipping badly.
This is not possible.
The part of me that staff affected is no longer in its place. But you already knew that, didn't you? I always was considered heartless. And now, Mobius, it is time.
To kill me? Again? Your only solution for every problem. Kill.
This is not a debate. You see, this time, you have nothing that I want.
You think this will matter? I serve one who has power over life and death.
Then go to him.
I am his obedient, his devoted servant. Soon, all pain will fade, and my master will bring me life once more. Master, my apologies. A momentary oversight. Somehow Kain still lives and has unexpectedly dispatched me. Make use of your good servant and...
Go to your master, then. I release you to the wheel.
I thought that was so tight.
Now, the monster that you served. Is this what you imagined when you worshipped it?
No!
And in that knowledge, go and feed it. I release you.
Your petty actions names are irrelevant, Raziel. Mobius was a good servant, but he was of no further use. His long life had run its course. You see, even when you rebel, you are doing my will.
Perhaps. But something has changed, hasn't it? You didn't foresee Kain's return.
You have both traced your paths along the wheel. This is where the journey ends.
You haven't the means to kill either one of us.
Ah, but you can be stopped. And you will come to understand how oblivion can be a mercy. You and Kain will spend eternity buried here together, praying for the merciful release of a death that will never come.
But I was armed with newfound knowledge, and it burned within me. Redeemer and Destroyer. Mobius had never seen his master until the Soul Reaver purified his sight. Even the ancient vampires had no idea what it was they so righteously worshipped.
You must unite what is set aside.
All the conflict and strife throughout history, all the fear and hatred, served but one purpose: to keep my master's wheel turning. All souls were prisoners, trapped in the pointless round of existence, leading distracted, blunted lives until death returned them, always in ignorance, to the wheel.
You should read Nietzsche.
Still turning. But what hope had there been? One cannot fight the unseen.
Only then will the Scion of Balance be armed for his true endeavor.
Despair, Raziel. There is no escape.
Yeah, well, you know, Socrates said the unexamined life wasn't worth living.
Could end this.
Kain,
So died?
do you so enjoy death?
Yes, Raziel.
No! Yes. This is how... No!
Actually, this is kind of a confusing ending.
The Soul Reaver, pure of all corruption. This is what it is for. This is what I am for. The two become one. Both Soul Reavers together. And the Scion of Balance is healed. And I am not your enemy, not your destroyer. I am, as before, your right hand, your sword.
No, Raziel. This can't be the way.
And now you will see the true enemy.
Raziel.
And it was then I saw.
So, I am revealed to you at last.
What in hell?
I am the origin of life, the devourer of death. I am the hub of the wheel, the purifying cycle to which all souls must be drawn.
Had I condemned Raziel to this?
Yeah, this is just like Lovecraft, Cthulhu Mythos, Necronomicon.
You may ponder the futility of your ambitions as you spend a deathless eternity beneath a mountain of rubble. You and your Soul Reaver will go equally mad as the eons pass. The Citadel of the Apostates will become your living tomb.
Yeah, and, you know, they sort of liked some of the things in this game. Sort of goes on to become Assassin's Creed. There's a bunch of religious stuff. Long, complicated story.
False God. This
is the end. The final turn of your wheel.
You cannot destroy me. I am the engine of life itself. The wheel will turn, the plague of your kind will be purged from this world, and on that inevitable day, your wretched, stagnant soul will finally be mine.
In the meantime, you'd best burrow deep. Now at last, the masks had fallen away. The strings of the puppets had become visible, and the hands of the Prime Mover exposed.
Prime Mover,
Most
that's
ironic
like
of
Aristotle.
all was the last gift that Raziel had given me. More powerful than the sword that now held his soul, more acute even than the vision his sacrifice had accorded me. The first bitter taste of that terrible illusion. Hope.